And good afternoon, everyone out there in Speed Gaming Land. We are back with another Link to the Past Randomizer daily race. Here on Miscellaneous Monday, we are doing an inverted mode race today. So, thank you very much for tuning in and joining us. We will get things kicked off here in just a second. On the restream today, we have Illis, Frostbite 3030, Lin, and Tabby Cat 54. I am Cool Papa Bell 2282. Leslie Pro 04 will be here in just a minute. Some minor technical issues behind the scenes, but a quick reboot, and we will have two commentators ready to call all of this great rando action for you. For those of you who have not seen an inverted mode before, that means our runners will start out in the dark world, and basically all of the light and dark world functions will be swapped. Portals will take you from dark to light. The mirror will take you in the opposite direction from light world back to dark world, and that means there are some minor changes to the map to sort of make all of this work. An early map check, I saw, I think, a green pendant at Turtle Rock, another pendant at Misery Mire, and then a red crystal over there in Palace of Darkness, and regular crystals in the rest of the Dark World. So the start tends to be a little bit slower in Inverted, since there are fewer item locations than that bounty that you find in Kakariko. Our runner's definitely going in different directions. A couple people headed up to Skull Woods. Tabby Cat headed directly into the Village of Outcasts, and Frostbite is taking the southern route. You saw Illis there taking an intentional death in Skull Woods. There's a really nice little bomb farm right here, so you can just hop down, pick up a couple of bombs, take a death, and then just repeat until you are full up on bombs. Looks like Lin is going to do that as well. Meanwhile, Frostbite is farming up some rupees down in the archery game to be able to pay for the dig game here in just a second. And Tabby Cat is going to dive straight into the front of Thieves Town. Ooh, early Moon Pearl. So again, as part of the inverted logic, you will be a bunny if you make it to the light world, unless you have that Moon Pearl. Other than that, our runners have just found a shovel, which I believe was in the Sanctuary chest. Or no, Link's house, since Frostbite is the only one with that one. But nothing else too much of interest just yet. Tabby Cat finding the small key in the front of Thieves Town, so that means something could be locked inside the big chest. Even more likely now that we have found the compass there from Thieves Town. Illis showing us Hype Cave. Obviously a very good location early on. Ooh, red cane and a hammer. Alright, that seems like it is pointing toward Thieves Town. A hammer/red cane blind fight is probably incoming. Hammer will let us open up the big chest, of course, and defeat blind, although it is definitely not the easiest fight on the amount of health our runners are probably going to have when they head in there. Looks like Lin had some minor issues with the statue there. If you get that a little bit offline, it does some weird things with the detection of whether it's on the switch or not that I do not fully understand. So sometimes that death warp to just reset the room is the fastest way around things. But we are definitely seeing the added challenge of having to do all of these Dark World rooms with very low equipment at the start of an inverted seed. Lin just rewarded with a key after all of that hard work. And just that heart piece on the race game. Looks like Illis is going to try and recoup some of that cash. So I would not be surprised to see all of our runners heading to Thieves Town right away. Getting that hammer in Hype Cave already is a sign that maybe that Thieves Town Big Chest should be our next destination. Can, of course, also use the red cane for that blind fight if you prefer. And yeah, Illis is headed in that direction as well. Going to clear out these 3 chests in the Village of Outcasts. Actually, Frostbite is going to take that hammer, open up East Dark World access with it, and dip into Palace of Darkness, most likely. Also allows us access to the Pyramid item and Catfish. So 2 more guaranteed checks over there. Not quite sure if we will be logically locked out of Pod without the bow, but that's certainly a possibility. Ooh, mirror in the chess game as well. No real place to use that just yet, but definitely good to have. Frostbite checked the Pyramid item and is now headed toward Pod. Gonna put off Catfish until just a little bit later from the looks of things. And it looks like Tabby and Lynn have finished up their initial runs into the village area and are now picking up the checks on the south side of the Dark World. Lynn on the way over to the digging game, also farming up some cash at the archery game as we go. And not surprising that Illis is going to head into the back of Thieves Town now, being a little bit more well-equipped with that hammer. And a key in the first chest of Pod for Frostbite, so we can go a little bit further into Palace of Darkness. Ooh, a death there from Illis. Again, not really shocking to see that happen in Inverted. You just get thrown into these awful situations on very low health. So it's not surprising to see even top runners take a death or 2 at the beginning of Inverted Seeds. So Lynn, now following in Frostbite's footsteps, has headed over to East Dark World with that hammer out of Hype Cave. Whereas Tabby Cat has is just finishing up the dig game loop. Let's taking another try at the Hellway. Patrick Stars are not really cooperating there. There we go. Gets around them. And looks like Frostbite has had enough of Palace of Darkness. Hit probably the point of the key logic, saying there was nothing else to be done there. I did not actually see how deep they went in, but probably deciding not to sequence break too much through pod, even though there's a bit more that could be done. Ooh, there is our first glove. All right, so now we have Light World access. Glove in the attic, along with Hammer and Moon Pearl, are still enough to get us into the opposite world, even though this is inverted mode. So Illis, the first of our runners to put all of those pieces together. And I would not be surprised to see the end of this dungeon and then immediately head into the Light World to pick up that huge pile of items that Kakariko Village always has for us. So this is actually fairly generous as inverted seeds go in my estimation. Sometimes you have to do some nonsense like, you know, get your way up to Death Mountain and then do Aghanim's Tower, which is up there in inverted mode to get your Light World access. But really a lot of items coming out pretty early for this seed. So it looks like, ooh, Flippers in the Thieves Town big chest. So smart move from Lynn, who was in here before, to put off going into the back of Thieves Town without the hammer. That would have been pretty rough to get back to find those Flippers eventually. Yeah, question in chat about this blind fight. It will be interesting. Very definitely a tricky fight. So Illis swapping to Kane for the second phase. You can do a little bit more, just sort of leave the block where it should go and then focus on dodging the fireballs and flying heads. Ooh, taking the death there. I suspect Illis might nope out of this fight. Yeah. It feels like with the glove, you've already gotten what you needed to out of Thieves Town, and it's never going to be any slower to just come back later and do this fight. So understandable that they don't want to bang their heads against that wall too much.
And I don't blame them one bit. My apologies for that, folks. Turns out I had to force it to shut down by using a bobby pin. Yeah, that is a thing that actually works.
That's some high-tech maintenance techniques you got there.
It's happened before, so that's how I've learned. But what I did see is deep in Thieves Town, the Flippers in the big chest, so that's going to help Eluse with exploration. And we've got a red crystal at Hera.
Yep, and then our last crystal at Eastern Palace. So Desert will be our last pendant.
Yep, it was red pendant from what I saw.
All right, Lynn is going a bit deeper into Palace of Darkness than Frostbite did. We'll see what's back there to find.
To respond to chat, yeah. 3 Heart Blind is arguably one of the biggest tripping points of an inverted seed, as is the Skullwood's big key chest. Both of them are just bad when they're required. especially if you're not used to those rooms at low resources.
Yeah, if the seed gives you a sword, I think all of these runners would have no problem with the blind fight, but hammer is just a completely different beast.
It is, but our runners also have Cane of Samaria as an option. As being demonstrated by Toby Cat. Oh, got shot by the fireball.
Yeah, you just have so little margin for error with that blind fight on 3 hearts. Meanwhile, Lin finding the book in the back of Palace of Darkness. That's an especially interesting find in inverted mode because that is the only way to get into Desert Palace. Since mirroring goes in the opposite direction, you can't mirror from the Mire area anymore, so you must have the book to get into Desert. Now, that is a pendant today, but the fact that we did find the book tells us maybe there's some reason the seed wants us to go in there.
Possibly. Might also be sending us after tablets, which, again, for inverted, the way things are set up, you aren't mirroring to the Bombos tablet anymore. There's a ladder that goes directly there.
Yeah, some very nice little pieces of ROM hacking that the devs did to make those... Ooh, another death on blind for Frostbite. To make those normal mirror locations like Cave 45 and Graveyard Ledge accessible. You can just sort of walk right up to them now once you're in the light world.
Also makes for some rather unique ways to get into Turtle Rock.
Yeah, another little thing that Illis is showing off to us now is you can get our old friend Jeremiah without the mitts, since you can just mirror from light to dark world behind those rocks. You can pick up our friend the blacksmith and deliver him right away.
That also means, by the same token, you can get Purple Chest. So that really means there's only one location that truly requires Titan's Mitts, and that's King's Tomb. And, oh, the blacksmiths have produced our first sword.
All right, vanilla swords so far. Early hammer pegs as well.
Yeah, it's really interesting how mirror logic changes so many things we knew about the base game and just literally just throws them right on their head. Literally.
Yeah, like you mentioned, Turtle Rock is really interesting because you can jump down to like Spiral Cave and then mirror to get onto the Mimic Cave ledge to just sort of sneak your way into Turtle Rock.
Which does allow for some things that wouldn't be possible otherwise by logic, as Lin finally picking up the Moon Pearl. Just needs a glove for access.
Yeah, Lynn definitely invested some extra time in Palace of Darkness. We will see if that book pays out, because that was about all that we found back there. So there we see Cave 45, which Illis just walks right up to. We'll leave behind that big 20.
Yeah, no ledge this time. At least in inverted, so again, no mirror requirement.
Meanwhile, Frostbite is sort of taking the northern route. We'll pick up Graveyard Ledge and probably dip into the back of Escape right now as well.
We're coming up on that purple chest. As Toby Cat is making a run at the front of Hyrule Castle.
Yeah, opting to head through what would normally be the Hype Cave portal. And Frostbite also showing off another weird little quirk of inverted routing that you would almost never walk from Back of Escape to the Sanctuary in an open seed. But here, since you can't start in the Sanctuary, this is sort of the most efficient way to check the Back of Escape items, the item in Sanctuary, and then continue your Light World routing.
So, Agena not required. So now it's checkerboard cave time. Like, how about this? The boot's right here. And with the knowledge we have of where the book is, I'm starting to wonder about Desert.
Yeah, that's definitely a little suspicious. You're right. And either way, a really good find for Illis to be able to just start dashing around this seed. Never complain about getting boots. Was that Ether on Meyer?
I didn't get a good look at it.
Quake, chat is telling me. Thank you for the correction there.
And we got a mushroom in the Meyer shed. Now, an interesting point about that is now, if Eluse feels inclined, he can opt to fake powder to get the magic bat item. Now, it's out of logic. Game never expects you to do this, but you can really potentially save a huge chunk of time depending on what that item is, because I've seen that happen many times before.
Yeah, and the mushroom, the potion shop, just becomes such a pain to do in Inverted, since the flute now works in Dark World instead of in Light World. So you've got to walk or swim your way up there rather than being able to just flute there. So Tabbycat opted for Front of Escape to start out the Light World trip, but found just nothing in there. Looks like they are now headed west toward Kakariko.
Seeing Canis Samaria being put to good use there. And speaking of, Inglin Lin working to try and put Blind down, as Blind's been giving everybody the business so far. Oh, almost had it. Probably another couple of hits away. But meanwhile, Elus has come up with the Master Sword.
And the bow as well in that mini Moldorm cave. Ooh, and Mitts also. Holy moly, that was a stacked mini Moldorm. I got distracted by that blind fight too, but... So, a fantastic burst of progression there for Illis. And like you said, those mitts are not super required in Inverted, but never hurts to have extra access to locations, even if you don't strictly need that particular item to get there.
Yeah, because right now, what that puts into play that is Inverted exclusive is King's Tomb. Would that be worth going out of your way to going for? Well, we shall see.
Yeah, the good news is I think Illis has not yet done Graveyard Ledge, so you can sort of loop in that and Bonk Rocks and King's Tomb all together, which is always very nice.
As well as Back of Escape in this situation.
Ooh, interesting play. Lynn is looks like reading into those early flippers and is gonna dip into Swamp Palace with no hook shot.
This is an interesting decision because hookshot may not be here, although an item leading to it could potentially be here. Could also be some other progression here. So it's, well, that doesn't help. It is worth noting that the enemies in Swamp don't do a lot of damage compared to other parts of the Dark World. However, the hits add up.
Yeah, as Lynn is down to 1 heart already. Meanwhile, looks like Illis is going to head for Eastern and Pod. With no lamp, some parts of these are going to be technically out of logic, but lamp logic is probably the last thing on most of these runners' mind.
Yeah, especially knowing that Myers a pendant and Turtle Rock's a pendant. That means their worst dark rooms are basically the pod rooms.
Yeah, I would be a little nervous about the Dark Turtle room with this level of health that our runners currently have, but Illis is a lot better at this game than I am.
Yeah, I can confirm. I will say this much, though. I would not be comfortable doing the Turtle Party room without a fire rod. And at that low health, that would be a hard pass for me.
While Frostbite and Tabby Cat are heading toward the South Light World, so they are probably both going to hit that mini Moldorm cave real soon and get the big equipment upgrades that are in there. And Frostbite being very thorough and is going to head toward their boots as well up at Checkerboard Cave.
Stopping to pay a visit to Edina first.
Illis is now in those eastern dark rooms, has got the key, and is through the first batch of dark navigation.
Never hurts to pick hearts up.
Yeah, again, a slightly scarier dark room. There are definitely some good strats for this one for keeping track of where those Igors are.
One of my personal favorites. Just that right there. Hit the eye with the arrow, and then as you get closer, ooh, as Lin takes the death, you just wait for it to move, then fire. But actually, that's not a death for Lin, because they got a fairy.
So Lynn found the big key in the first chest on the left side. Tabby Cat, meanwhile, heading back into the blind fight with a sword and a cape, a little bit better equipped than last time. Using that trick where you just hold on to the wall while the cape is on and the magic does not drain.
Out of magic, it doesn't matter, as we've got a runner that's slain blind.
So our first successful blind fight in about 6 tries. Again, no joke on 3 hearts without a sword.
Yeah, blind is really one of those tough fights in inverted that if you don't feel comfortable with it at enough hearts, you could struggle with it super easily. And it looks like Swamp Palace didn't have anything of importance. So Frostbite's going to be disappointed.
Yeah, the other thing about Blind 2 is since all of our runners tried him once, then when you come back in, the script is just right out the window. So yeah, question in chat about where Tabby found the cape. I'm guessing that must have been in front of Escape. I didn't actually see where that came from, but I think that's the only thing that Tabby has done that other runners have not. I'm not sure about that, though. So here's another glimpse of this stacked mini Moldorm cave. Just a bow, mitts, and another sword. No big deal.
So it was in the boomerang chest. Ah, good to know. Understandable as to why a boomerang would be picked up and inverted, because you're such low health. Sometimes you need something to stun enemies with in order to get by.
Yeah, and I haven't seen what the stun prize is, but if the stun prize is something like a heart or even better, a fairy, that's really important information and an ability to have to refill your health whenever you need it.
The seed that has my best time in any particular mode outside of Festive had a fairy stun prize, and I abused the heck out of it to keep my health full.
So Illis now doing pod a little bit more legitimately with that bow, but like we said, we will probably see some sequence broken dark rooms.
It is a rarity to have a fairy as a stun prize, but it is a thing that can happen. Nobody interested in that Haunted Grove piece of heart. With how the health is for an inverted, I'd probably be picking that up myself, but that's just me.
So question in chat about stun prizes. So in the base game, if you stun an enemy with a boomerang or hook shot, something like that, and then kill it, it will always give you a green rupee, I believe. In the randomizer, just to mix things up, every seed it's randomized what that stun prize is. So when you stun something with a boomerang or hook shot and then kill it, you'll get something consistently throughout the seed, but what it is randomized from seed to seed. So if it's something super useful like a full magic or a fairy drop or something like that, then you can, yeah, absolutely abuse the heck out of it.
And Elis just came up with the book. It was in the dark basement right chest. And there's the fire rod. It was at the Waterfall of Wishing.
So there it was. That seems to be why we got those flippers so early. We will see if Illis heads up in that direction. Pretty much has done an entire counterclockwise loop of the light world and could just keep doing that. Ooh, powder on the ledge as well. So flippers leading to some very good finds.
Had to go to Checkerboard Cave for the boots. And with how it's set up and inverted, a lot of the Mirror Locked Light World locations are not.
Illis getting very low in Dark Maze there. We'll probably just take a Death Warp after finishing off the big chest there. Nope, is going to mirror out. He's just going to go ahead and do the Helmasaur run on 1 heart. I guess you can fill up in the room with the statue, so...
That, or they might also have a fairy in a bottle.
Yeah, that's true. We did see Lynn use theirs in the middle of Swamp Palace. So Illis probably still has that one. Question in chat about the Big Bomb. So to facilitate the Big Bombness, the Big Bomb Shop and Link's house have actually swapped locations in Inverted, so that you start in the Dark World at where the Big Bomb Shop would normally be, and to deliver the Big Bomb to the Pyramid, you will usually just mirror your way from Light World to Dark World.
So to further emphasize on that, taking the Big Bomb through portals is how logic works for a rare Pyramid Fairy having the hammer in a regular seat, because that does require Ago 1, as well as having the mirror.
Meanwhile, Illis making that Dark Turtle room look pretty easy. Is now going through that last portal on the way to the Helmasaur room.
You gotta be really confident with how that room plays out in order to attempt that without a fire rod. Nicely done on the Helmasaur kill.
Yeah, swapped to the bow and found a moment when Helmasaur was standing still and just dumped those arrows in. So second crystal for Illis in rapid succession, doing that Pod Eastern play right on top of each other.
Which is an Eastern pod play in Inverted because of the mirror's properties of taking you from Light World to Dark World.
So Illis saved and quit out of the Palace of Darkness entrance, but it looks like they're going to jump right back into the Light World. They might be thinking about those flipper checks at this point. They do have enough cash for Zora right now, so that's sort of the last big location in Light World that they haven't checked yet, outside of Death Mountain. Very nice routing from Illis there. Did the save and quit so he could pick up the mushroom check on the way up to Zora's area.
Heart container. Sank heart? No, that wasn't sank heart. Never mind.
And Zora just giving us a pretty bad return on our investment today.
Sounds like par for the course for the great scam fish.
So it is worth pointing out now as we see Lynn working through Eastern Palace with that fire rod in play. Everything useful in Eastern and Pod is in logic now with that fire rod, I think. Or was there a vanilla big key in Eastern?
I don't recall seeing where the big Q. Yeah, it was vanilla. Yeah,
Okay.
First off, yep, Lynn dodged a bullet from someone whose username I will say I'm particularly a fan of.
So yes, you do need lamp to get to the vanilla big key chest in Eastern, so that is technically not in logic yet. But the only thing out of logic in Palace of Darkness when you have the fire rod is the dark maze. So since the book was in the basement, that will be in logic with just fire rod. Also, that powder very nice for Illis, since turning in that mushroom prevents you from being able to do the fake powder. Finding the real powder right afterwards is very convenient.
That it is. So now, Magic Bat is in logic. Could that be the hook shot? Or could it be our logical means of getting up Death Mountain? Emphasis on, well, logic being a suggestion here, because our runners could probably just dark room up the mountain, try and find the hook shot. Which wouldn't be a bad strategy now that I think about it.
Yeah, hookshot is the only thing we're looking for go mode. Logically speaking, we will of course need that lamp, but I think most of these runners would be comfortable finishing the seed without the lamp, as we talked about before.
Yeah, it's worth noting that the fastest completion times of these randomizer seeds, a number of them were lampless.
So Illis with that fire rod is going to head back into the village area and finish off Blind and Skull Woods. Ooh.
He was opting to YOLO it right at the end, and it pays off with a kill. That was a gutsy call.
Sometimes you got to live on the edge, and Illis lives his life 1/4 mile at a time, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah, Fast and Furious reference. I know exactly what you going. I know exactly what you putting down on that one.
So this is very quickly about to be Illis's 4th crystal when he finishes off Skull Woods here. And he can absolutely finish off Ice Palace at this point. Although, again, it's possible that is logically hookshot locked. Ooh, looks like we're going to get a ped check
That
as
we
well.
are, so
Illis
it's
is
plus
in the area.
RNG time, chat. And I think he's going to use the mirror from here to get to the back of Skull Woods quickly. The silver arrows on the pedestal. Oh
good.
boy. I'm sure our featured runners, that won't be a problem. But I could see where that would give some runners fits.
That will put a pretty high value on finding another sword upgrade, though, since even if you can do it Master Sword Silverless, it's never a fun time.
Can confirm.
So we briefly mentioned this a second ago, but we talked about getting up to Death Mountain. Another one of the changes is that essentially the normal cave that takes you up into Death Mountain has just been swapped into the Dark World. So you can theoretically do that early on in the seed, but still requires that lamp logically since it is in the dark. And that looks like where Lynn is going right now.
Nicely done killing Mothula Bios. Ooh, even nicer. Red mail. Okay, so getting up Death Mountain with the old man is a little different. In inverted, you have to walk him all the way to the portal, and then go through the portal, then drop down to the cave, all while dodging the traditional Death Mountain cabbages.
Yeah, of course, luckily jumping down the mountain is a little bit easier than climbing up those long ladders with cabbages flying at you. Also, a weird little quirk of the old man state. You saw Lynn carrying that bush the whole time. So normally you walk very slowly with the old man, but actually holding an item speeds you up, relatively speaking. You can do that with Cane of Samaria blocks too. Happens pretty regularly in Rando. Just a little time save.
Yeah, but all those little time saves can add up at the end of a run. And there's a shield.
Yep, so our last item in Skull Woods was junk.
Speaking of junk, Spectacle Rock Cave being a big 20, no thank you.
And Lynn's going to show us another inverted weirdness. This staircase up to the what would normally be Ganon's Tower, what is now Aghanim's Tower in the top of Dark Death Mountain. Another little change to give you some more options for places to go at the beginning of a seed.
So our first look at Super Bunny Cave revealed nothing, while Bonk Rocks reveals our lamp.
All right, so that has been accessible technically from the very second we entered the light world, because you could have walked all the way down to Checkerboard Cave and then all the way back up with those boots to get that lamp. So all of those darkroom logical concerns are right out the window.
Yep, that they are. Oh, Frostbite taking a fireball to the back, but that's their fairy right there. And Frostbite finishes the fight. Well, speaking of the hook shot, we know it's not vanilla, we know it's not in Swamp. So now we basically are on a hookshot hunt unless it happens to be in those aforementioned dungeons, and if it's on Green Pendant, then there's the flute, which you activate in the light world as you traditionally do, but it only gets used in the dark world.
Yeah, very useful for sort of fast travel purposes. Doesn't actually open up any access to new areas since we can already mirror our way into the Mire area. But whoa, was that
We got
two swords
ourselves
that
a
Lynn just
Tempest
found?
Sword, so knowing what we know about this seed, Lin is set offensively.
All right, so maybe not what Lynn was hoping to find, but definitely a worthwhile sequence break to get those two sword upgrades very early on.
Hold
Looks
the
like Illis is.
phone. What was that on the bumper cave ledge?
I did not see what that was.
Because single arrow. Okay, thanks, Red. Honestly, that looked like it could have been a hook shot to me, so I was just making sure my eyes weren't playing a trick on me. Seems like they were.
All right, so yeah, Illis chasing that lamp up Death Mountain. That's the big area opened up by that lamp at this point. Shoutouts, by the way, to our trackers for today, the 3X and Red Reamer. They volunteered at the very last minute to get all 4 of these runners on the restream, so big shoutouts to them.
Get our first look at Hera from Lin, and we're heading straight upstairs, as that's the big key.
Ah, my bad. The third X. I was looking at the Discord name, not the Twitch name. So my bad. A rarity these days. We actually get to see people doing the Hera climb instead of just Hera potting their way up the tower.
Partially because we don't have hookshot to pull it off. That was a very good bomb jump, as without boots, that's a 2-pixel window. With boots, it opens up to 6, but that's also one you don't want to go for unless you're very confident you can get it, because that fall is a big time loss. Well, if it's there, we're about to find out. Doesn't appear as though it was in Hera. And before the bonk, he was picking off the jelly to get it out of the way, and that's a piece of heart.
We are going to see, by the way, some of the upside of having those mitts for Illis. Just helps a lot with the routing here, since you can use this portal to kind of go back and forth freely between light and dark world.
And we're getting ourselves Turtle Rock entry. It's worth noting that Quake Medallion to enter is merely a suggestion in inverted. And that's why the big key can be on Laser Bridge.
Yep, Lynn backing into Turtle Rock using that mirror.
And we had 2 swords inside of Paradox Cave. Wow. So for the moment, Elus is off into Hera. At this point, I'm starting to wonder when we'll see a big bomb play.
Yeah, it's definitely something to think about because Illis is going to be out of other better options pretty soon. Would not be surprised to see the Ice Palace dip next, since that will be crystal number 6 for Illis. So that might be more tempting than the hook-shotless swamp dip, and definitely the red bomb being in that same area. You might do that before you go into swamp as well.
It's worth noting that Big Bomb also changes one thing about a potential AGA 1 situation. Now, for the regular rando, Hammer Pyramid Fairy requires it in inverted. That requirement becomes, I believe, I want to say the mirror. Oh no, wait, that doesn't work. Never mind. Because I don't think you can go light to dark in that instance anyway, so it is irrelevant. Actually, no, it becomes Moon Pearl on Blacksmith, not Pyramid Fairy. Whoopsie doozy. It's a Monday.
Interesting to see there, even Illis, who has been tearing through this seed, has a really top-notch execution. Just decided maybe that bomb jump wasn't working today, and it's better to just climb the stairs and do it the slow way, rather than take that big fall down 2 floors. So we see Lynn is the first one to activate that flute. Again, has to be activated the normal way in the light world, but will only work in the dark world. And crystal number 5 coming through for Illis, as Lynn is walking back into the blind fight to pick up number 4. Frostbite dipping into the moth fight. Going to be their 3rd crystal. They're opting to do Skullwoods and then Thieves Town, as opposed to our other 2 runners who have been back there who did Thieves Town first. And that moth is just not cooperating, just hanging out by the spikes. But there gets that last hit in. And so this is a little bit interesting. Looks like Illis is going to head back into Turtle Rock and do a bit more of this dungeon. Or no, might just be going into Mimic Cave. We'll see if he opts for more of Turtle Rock, since Lynn noped out after just doing Laser Bridge. Yeah, good point from Third X there that this checking of the big chest in Turtle Rock is basically free once you're already here at Mimic Cave. Half magic, that's definitely worth the trip in here. And yeah, he's going to go ahead and check out a couple more chests. Meanwhile, Lynn catching up on crystals, picking up their 5th in Skull Woods. And now it's just a full-on hookshot hunt for those two runners. So we will see which of them finds it first. Tabby Cat is not far behind. Looks like they're heading into Skull Woods right now as well, and probably check out the pedestal on the way. Yeah, and Illis is doing the full backwards Turtle Rock. This is a specialty of inverted and also cross keys, since you find yourself entering in a non-standard place. Question in chat, Lumberjack Cave works exactly the same way in inverted as normal. It's in the light world, and you have to defeat Aga 1 before it unlocks itself, but same requirements as in open or standard modes. And Frostbite is the last of our runners to get revenge on Blind for those early deaths.
Yeah, we need the ice rod to be able to clear Turtle Rock.
Yep, Illis cleared out as much as possible. All right, so some interesting divergence from our runners now. Frostbite cleaning up some overworld checks with that magic bat check. Illis opting into the big red bomb, I was going to say there. And Lin diving right into Ice Palace, but Frostbite is the one who is rewarded with that hook shot.
That's a massive find, as that basically puts us in no mode overall, and I think if Frostbite knows dark rooms, that's go mode.
Yep, and it looks like they are headed straight back to Swamp Palace. They are just looking at clearing dungeons at this point, finishing off their crystals.
That's understandable, but they gotta head up to Hera at some point, and Paradox Cave would be highly recommended. Because if they're gambling on a sword in GT, unfortunately that gamble's not gonna come into fruition today.
Yeah, that's definitely gonna be interesting, because odds are they will wind up with Master Sword Silverless when they get to Ganon. So we'll see if they're able to pick up enough time by being the first ones into go mode to stay ahead of the other runners. And this is why, by the way, commentators so rarely want to say, oh, I think this person is ahead, because very often it can come down to a single item hunt like this, and whoever finds it first suddenly gets a huge advantage over the rest of the runners.
That may be, but here's another point. At the end of the day, you can call whoever's ahead or what have you, but you can still lose because of execution. And this comes from someone who lost a tournament race to Pika Pals due to failing Silverless Master Sword in the 2018 tournament.
Yeah, Silverless Master Sword Ganon is no joke. Frostbite is also not going to find half magic. I believe our runners have a blue potion, so but you do not have a lot of room for mistakes when you're doing Fire Rod, Master Sword, Silverless.
As if the margin for error weren't small enough as it is in that situation. Fire Rod makes it even smaller, even with a potion.
Yeah, I think it's literally impossible without
Oh, hey, there's
hitting
Quake.
the torch glitch or having at least 2 potions.
So yeah, that Quake in in an interesting spot. Now watch Ice Rod be in Mire, and we'll never find it because no one's going there. This ain't all dungeons.
Yeah, I think Frostbite is going to know that Quake doesn't actually lead anywhere since it was hookshot locked.
Well, what I can confirm for you is that with that first key that Lin found early in Ice, you weren't hookshot locked.
Yeah, that's definitely good information to read, which Lin is doing, knowing that the game expected you to have hookshot to be able to do Ice Palace means you're not going to find hookshot here, so might as well just go mode and finish off the dungeon as quickly as possible.
Meanwhile, we've got the goose loose, the duck is amuck, the mallard is impaled as the loose has activated the fluke for the Dark World.
And most importantly, this puts them in the area to do this magic bat check and get their hookshot.
I dare say that puts a loose in go mode.
So yeah, let's see. Illis has Ice and Swamp to do. Frostbite has Ice and Hera. It means the downside is that Frostbite will have to spend that time climbing Death Mountain to actually get up to the Tower of Hera, which is not on the way to Ganon's Tower anymore, since that has moved to be where Aghanim's Tower normally is.
And that's not a good spot for Tabby Cat.
Yeah, making use of their fairy there now. It's also worth pointing out that Illis did not dip Swamp Palace before, so they will have to do that sort of slow bit at the beginning of hammering and hitting that, floodgate switch and that sort of stuff, which will slow them down just a little bit. compared to Frostbite.
Yeah, without boots, Lin is unable to access small crops.
Frostbite is doing a little bit of checking for swords on the way down through Ice Palace. Just getting the chests along the way, like that Freezor room, which we see Illa skipping.
Frostbite's now taking on Cold Stare.
We're going to see Illus's equipment advantage, though. Half magic and butter sword. This is going to be a much faster fight. And there it goes.
Yeah, it's one of those fast kills where, quite literally, you don't blink or else you miss it.
Whereas Frostbite went ahead and used that potion to get some more fire rod shots. That's definitely going to come into play since he will have one less potion to use on that Ganon fight.
So for Frostbite, all that remains is heading up to Hera, then back down to Hyrule Castle, because that's where Ganon's tower is.
Yeah, and I had forgotten that the flute was up on Death Mountain, so that means Frostbite is going to have to take the long walk up to Hera as well. Definitely just another 30 seconds that you don't want to be spending in go mode. You're just itching to get to the point where you can finish this seed.
Your hook shot today was on the magic bat.
Can see Illus is not checking anything on their way. They're in full go mode, knowing that there's literally nothing in any of these chests that could help them. Only the silvers could help at this point, and we know those are locked on the pedestal.
I think if anything, what trolled Frostbite was picking up that bush and then getting chased by a bee.
Yeah, that bee spawning from the bush. Video game, please.
So Frostbite's in Paradox Cave. Just has to explore the upper room, and they'll be set and won't have to worry about Silverless Master Sword.
So yeah, this decision is going to work out really well for them, since they were going to have to climb up the mountain over here anyway. Might as well check these 7 chests on the way, since you are desperately looking for that 3rd sword. Yep, that does not shock me. Tempered and pieces out. Doesn't even find the butter sword. So, Illus has 7 crystals, and as I understand it, that means it's time to play a certain guessing game. Since there are 22 locations in Ganon's Tower where that GT Big Key might be, you can get your guesses in chat about where you think that GT Big Key is going to show up.
Yep, I dropped an 8 as Frostbite's looking to set up a Herapot.
I gotta say, I did not know that a bonk right there would line you up right. I've just been walking backwards. That's a very nice setup for that bomb drop. Yeah, I agree with Drossi in chat saying we're headed to GT after an hour and 16 minutes in an inverted seed. This has been a really fast run from Illus. Meanwhile, we see Lin picking up their hookshot here. They are also just going to barely miss their butter sword, which is right above them on the smiths.
But when you're in go mode, you can't blame a runner for wanting to just blast through the rest of the seed as fast as possible.
Yeah, the upgrade from tempered to butter is so small that it's usually not worth hunting for it for most runners. Meanwhile, check number 3 is Bombos. Number 4, another small key. Number 5, yet another small key.
I see Dark Magician in our future. And it's in number 7!
Let's see. First person I see to say number 7 was Rain Prowler. So GG's to Rain Prowler for winning the GT Big Key guessing game today. Also looks like Cudslin, Taylor D420, and T-Rob 6983. So Illus, meanwhile, has started the climb, and Frostbite looks like is going to check number 2 for Frostbite, but so they will not be too far behind Illus heading up the climb, since they will just grab this first key from the left side. And yeah, I am not sure what Frostbite's potion situation is, but as long as you get the torch glitch with Tempered Sword, you should be okay.
Yeah, and even more imperative to get the glitch when you have just the Fire Rod. Chad is pointing out that it is possible to do the first two phases with just tempered. Phase 1, there's an execution trick to it. Phase 2, there's a strat for it, and if you don't know it, you're relying on getting God Corner RNG.
Yeah, since you're limited in time by the Ganon cycles through his attacks, Buttersword actually won't speed anything up if you are good at those 1-on-1 tempered fights. Yeah, there are definitely some ifs in there, but Illis and Frostbite are definitely among the runners who I would say are pretty good at those 1-on-1 tempereds, so I'm not too worried about Frostbite not having Buttersword.
Right now, we're just looking at execution as we got a race in our hands between Frostbite and Eluce, as Frostbite's just a couple of floors behind. Anything can happen still. Oh my goodness, that was an amazing one cycle for Frostbite. I don't think I've seen Land Mode 2 one cycled like that before.
Yeah, I just love this part of races when really good runners are just have the pedal to the floor and they are pushing hard to get through the race as quickly as possible. It's really fun to see this execution. But Illis, meanwhile, is on the way to the Aga 2 fight just as Lin enters the tower. And Tabby Cat is fully in that hook shot hunt. That's all they are looking for as well to finish out this seed. And Illis through the Aga 2 fight just as Frostbite is coming up on the Moldorm 2 fight. Tabby Cat is getting baited into that desert check, unfortunately. We were all sort of thinking about it with those boots and book fairly early on in the seed, but unfortunately nothing really required we know is going to be in this desert palace. And Illis dropping into the Ganon fight. And with Buttersword, he will have no worries about the 1 cycles. Frostbite, unfortunately, taking in Moldorm 2 fall. Tabby Cat finding the Ice Rod. That might mean we get to see a Trinex fight today, you never know. And Illis into the 4th phase is just focusing on getting that torch glitch, spamming those lamp shots. Illis also the only one with half magic at this point in the race. And of course, switching to Fire Rod to try and get those 3 cycles. And Illis finishes just as Frostbite drops into the Ganon fight. Has nothing left but that treacherous 1x3 bridge to walk across. And he will be our first runner to finish on the restream. Get your GGs in chat for Illis right now.
Very well done.
Yeah, Frostbite.
So while Loose with the race PB did win on restream, our winner was Bont, who finished with a PB of his own at 1:14.42 in first. Holy smokes!
Ooh, Frostbite missed the torch glitch there. Is going to have some trouble finishing at this point. I don't know what the potion situation is for him right now. So we got one blue left. He's going to have some difficulty finishing this off unless he has even another potion in his back pocket there. I think the fairy fountain gave us a green pot this seed. I'm not sure. So if Frostbite has one of those, he will be able to do this, I think. It's just so tough because you can't really get 3 hits in one cycle if you have to light both torches.
Yeah, you're lucky if you're able to get 2 in that situation.
Okay, so yeah, did have a second potion.
Meanwhile, Lynn on their way to fighting it.
And so Frostbite finishes that fight, spams away the rest of his magic with those fire rod shots. And will finish at about 1:26.53. As now our third runner in the restream, Lin is in this Ganon fight as well. He's also at only Tempered Sword. Just one more hit in this third phase for Lin. And also setting up to try and get that torch glitch. And Lin does have that torch glitch going, so we'll be able to finish off this Ganon fight probably without too much trouble. Meanwhile, we are joined in chat by our first 2 finishers on Restream, Illis and Frostbite 3030. GG's, you two, and welcome to the stream.
GG? Yeah, GG's, Illis. I'm assuming you don't feel all that great about it, because I sure as heck don't.
Yeah, like the early game was rough.
Yeah, my early game, I made every choice wrong. Died to blind, like, yeah.
Yeah, I died to blind too. Like 3 hearts is always a bit iffy, and I got a bit unlucky with the enemy RNG, so I died once. In exchange, I found boots relatively early, but you know, then I had to look for the hook shot forever, and so in the end, I kind of finished almost all of the seed, I believe. Except for desert.
Yeah, all of our restreamed runners took a death to blind, so I don't think anybody should feel too bad about that one.
Yeah, it's something that can happen. It would have been nice if I had beaten him, but you know, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, I made the choice when I went into the fight because I'd already found the gloves that I wasn't going to like pause buffer and really try and win the fight. I was gonna go for it, and if it went well, it went well, and if it didn't, I died. I was fine with that. So, but like if I knew I had to kill him, I would have approached the fight totally differently.
Meanwhile, Lin has cut the sub 90, finishing with an official SRL time of 129.21. Lots of PBs up and down the field in this mode.
Yeah, it's a super free seed. I mean, I figure like I didn't kill blind, which I easily could have, which would have saved me like 2 minutes. I went to pod and pyramid before I went to Thieves Town, so that's like probably 6 minutes or something like that, like 5 minutes. It's a long, slow walk over there. And so like I look at that right away, I'm like, okay, I got no chance in this seed. I guess the only thing I did right was I didn't go up Death Mountain until I was in go mode. That was basically, I think the powder was my very last check.
What? I full cleared Death Mountain, man. What the hell?
So, I mean, I went into swamp without the hook shot. I double dipped pod. I double dipped Skullwoods, obviously Thieves Town. I don't know. I played really poorly.
Same.
Madman.
I pretty much did what Frostbite did. I just hit the Kikuriko like 1 hour or something.
Yeah.
GG Lin.
Yeah, I went to CAC early, and I got the boots. I felt fairly early, but I don't know where the powder was, but I didn't have it when I went to CAC.
Powder was on Zora Ledge, so it was kind of hard to get there.
Yeah, GG's to Lynn, by the way, joining us in chat. Yeah, Lynn, you were the first one to find that book in Palace of Darkness since you went all the way through on the first dip, but unfortunately that just did not lead anywhere.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
Yeah.
I kind of saw some stuff going into Easttown where we got that hammer. I was like, I'll try to get some safeties first before going there. So I just, like Frostbite, I went to pod.
Yeah, like if I'd have
especially
been
with my ability to mimic clip, that is probably one of the best out there. I just went to pod.
Yeah, I thought about mimic clipping, but I figured I gotta come back here anyways. Because I mean, I didn't check my map till an hour, but I knew it was crystal because of the music. So, like, if it had been a pendant, I probably would have mimic clipped, but with it being a crystal, I figured, I gotta come back here anyways. But, I don't know. Yeah, it was, I didn't like the seed. It didn't work well with my routing choices.
I didn't exactly like the seed either, because it was one of those seeds in which you are at almost go mode at 40 minutes, and then you have to just guess right where your hookshot was.
Yeah, and I think like
I hate these types of seeds really, because there's a lot of variance in the end with how people could finish.
Oh, nice ball.
Lamp.
Yeah, I hear you there.
Lamp was in Bonk Rocks.
Oh.
I was gonna check that after I checked the powder. This is my very next check.
Yeah, I have seen that bow on pedestal so many times lately.
Yeah, I've seen sword and bow on pet a lot, it seems. But yeah, I feel like, I mean, if this seed, if all you did was start, like, I can't remember how much money there was, but I mean, obviously you could farm as much money as you want in this early game. But I had tons of money fairly early. If you just go to Zora instead of not going to Zora, like, I chose not to go through the portal to Zora when I swam past it. And instead I full cleared pod, I full cleared Eastern, I full cleared the castle. If I just went and got the powder, like, I don't think it would have made any difference for me at that point, because I'm not going back to check it. But if you could have done it before you went to Kakariko, the seed was so free.
If you're going to Kakariko, because after I got that powder, I decided I feel kind of behind. I'm just not gonna go to Kak yet, and I'm going to Death Mountain. I literally hit Kak at 1 hour or something.
I never went up Death Mountain until the end. Because as long as I put it off, I was like, well, maybe, like, I knew I didn't need the flute or the lamp, so I kept thinking, do I go up now? Do I go up now? Do I go up now?
The thing is, like...
But I knew, like, I don't know, I was surprised the hookshot wasn't on the mountain, to be honest.
Yeah, same. That's why I went. Yeah. Like, the game is giving you mitts to
Yeah, and
give you access to
even
East
even the
Death
lamp,
Mountain.
even the lamp.
I don't know
So
I don't know where the lamp was, but then
yeah,
I didn't
but
care.
for me, but for me it was even more clear. Like they give you mids and lamp, and you obviously have to go to Death Mountain like that, right? Mids are not even required most of the time in Inverted anyway. So that was quite the bait.
Yeah, I feel like the only way you really could have found that hook shot efficiently is if you had really read into the early flippers and just sort of did your initial light world from the Hype Cave portal down to Mini Moldorm into the flippers checks. But just why
Oh,
do
I
that
think-
before
Go to
Kakariko first?
I honestly
I think
that's a
I had-
reasonable play.
I think I had a good opportunity to check powder because I went to CAC to finish after getting the fire rod you got you got Skull Woods and you've got Thief's Town finish, right? So I could have checked it at that point, but that was like the only reasonable point, and it was not really on the way, so I decided to not do it.
I mean, it worked out okay. That's how I did it because there was 2 items and one of them was in the big chest. I was already back at the big chest, so I just went into the dark world or the light world from Skull Woods, mirrored in front of Thieves Town, finished that off, got back in the portal, and ran over to the powder spot. But yeah, I just played bad. Like I didn't play well. I didn't die, but I was a really low health a lot of the time because I was walking into enemies, so I had to be really cautious, especially in the early game. And it just bleeds time so quickly.
Yeah, I didn't do some things optimally either. Like sometimes I got lost in the menu.
Yeah, my menuing was.
I wasn't
no boomerangs.
I wasn't terribly
lamp.
concentrated at some points in some runes. But some things went well too. Like I did the full dark turtle room and whatever, and I don't think I've ever done a better dark turtle room than what I did today. That was quite nice.
Mine was
That
terrible.
was impressive, because I tell you that I've only tried doing that a handful of times, and I come out of that with my butt kicked.
Yeah, at least
Yeah,
we had
that-
Master Sword. At least I had Master Sword.
Yeah, with Master Sword it's definitely a bit easier, but I usually get my butt kicked too,
Yeah.
especially when it's full dark and no ether, no bombers either.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
this time it went really well.
I died, but I knew I had a fairy, so I was sort of. I planned on using the fairy in Dark Turtles, basically. But yeah, I don't know. And then I had to use a potion against blind, against Module. My moth fight was terrible. My blind fight, like I was so irritated because I got like the weird 3-hit with the first Cane of Samaria block, and then I just like walked into the things. Like I was like, oh, maybe I can do this. You know, I got 3 free hits, and you know, it's kind of a script with Samaria if you practice it a lot. Now, since no one plays Inverted, there's no real reason to practice Samaria blind anymore, but I used to, and it's pretty consistent. But it's so annoying, I guess. But
I have confidence in my Samaria blind, but it's been a while, so
yeah, I need to have more than
Work out
4 hearts. So that's the other thing. If I had 6 or 7 hearts, I feel like I probably could have done it. I would have played it a little more cautious because I was almost like half like, okay, we're either doing this fast or we're dying fast, but whatever we're doing fast. But yeah, I'm happy. I didn't go into Desert. I didn't go into TR.
I just did Laser Bridge. I got Twilight on the line. That's enough. I'm out.
I was gonna say, Frostbite, we did appreciate your Landmo 2 kill. That was
That
very nice.
was crazy. I've never even seen one like that before. I got 3 hits with 1 fire rod shot. That actually, you mentioned that was the highlight of the run for sure. It was.
Oh, it was, and someone clipped that too.
But basically, I had to refill the powder because I got bodied in the gauntlet. So whenever I do that and I have Separate Sword, I go for the sort of like 3 Landmo swing cycle. I never seen them all die to 1 fire rod shot like that before, though. It was very, very interesting. So I'd love to know how that even works. Because I don't even think I got a second shot off, which is bizarre. I don't know. It was fun. That was definitely good. Missing the torch glitch sucked. I'm terrible at torch glitch with fire rod. And if I'd have had 1 less bottle, I would have gone and picked up a blue potion before I went to GT even. And that's why I didn't want to use the bottle in the gauntlet, because I knew if I missed the sword glitch, I was going to need 2 magic refills to be able to complete the fight.
When I was on Argus, after I killed the puffs, when I menued, I checked my bottles real quick to see if I had a blue goo or like what I had in my inventory before going to GT, in case I had to buy some.
Yeah, I knew what I had because I was really cautious of it, because I think I still finished on 8 hearts, right? So I was using magic.
I was fairly salty that I got 2 blue goose in keg after dying to blind, so I knew exactly I had 2 blue goose.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and then because I checked when I was going into the pod dark room, I knew I had 2 blue goose and the fairy, which I used, and then I bought another blue when I returned the mushroom in. So before I found the powder, but yeah, I could have fake powdered too. Obviously, I think I don't remember where Samaria was.
It was early.
But I remember thinking as I was turning in the powder, it's like, oh, you get a fake powder, and it's not like that's something I would ever do. But obviously that would have been an insanely good play in this seed. I wouldn't be surprised if some of the top finishers did that.
I think Mushroom was like Meyer Shed.
Yeah.
It was.
Meyer Shed is actually not that terrible a spot though either. I mean, it's one of those things that I like to check early in Inverted, because there's always head stuff in those spots.
My problem is I actually also like to check it. Problem is I had the book.
Yeah, I didn't have the book, and I because they're both pendants, that also made me want to go over and check it, because I figured I'm never going to be drawn here to clear a crystal, so this
I had the book, it was a pendant, so I just didn't want to go. I just didn't want to go.
That was another thing I hate. I mean, I must have spent at least 10 seconds looking at my menu trying to figure out what the heck I found when I picked up the book.
I noticed quite quickly when like, it wasn't dark. I mean, my menu was kind of empty already.
I just didn't even know that the book could be an option. I think that's probably the first time.
Yeah, that's the first time I actually find it in the dark, and then since my menu was already empty, only had hammer and cane and bombs.
Oh, see.
The moment I menued, I was like, "There's a book in my inventory." Like, if your inventory is already empty, you notice quite.
I mean, I menued on the mushroom to see if that was it, because I've had that happen where I think I had the powder and I picked up the mushroom in the dark room and I couldn't figure out what it was, and that ended up being something, and that was super fun. But this was a really light and menu seed. Like, I mean, I never found the lamp. I never picked up a boomerang. I never found the ice rod. I feel like I got ether right at the end of the game, and I never found half magic. Like.
You missed like 4 harp containers in Turtle Rock.
I could use them. I was wondering, because I found the Tempered Sword of Paradox Cave and just like, all right, that's exactly what I was looking for. I'm getting out of here. And I always have these thoughts of like, is the silver arrows literally sitting in the chest that I was one step away from and decided to skip? Because I mean, people had finished already, right? I knew I was behind, or I figured it was super free. Like,
so, fun side note there, Frostbite, your butter sword was one of the other chests in Paradox Cave there.
Yeah, that doesn't bother me so much.
Yeah. And same for you, Lynn. The Smiths actually had the last sword that you didn't find because you found Hookshot right before you did that. So
I would have checked it if I didn't have a temper.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, I had the Smith with me, and then I would have checked it if I didn't have a temper. I would have definitely checked the item, like 5 seconds.
Yeah, and I feel like if I had have already been up the mountain, I would have had the swords already, but because of the way you have, that was another thing that makes you not want to play Inverted. You're in Go mode. Oh, by the way, you guys spend the next 2 minutes returning this stupid lost, geriatric into his home, and I figured, well, I'm going to be in the light world anyways, and I'll just hookshot across, and I was only going to check Paradox Cave too, so the fact that the sword was in there made me very happy, because I don't think I could have completed this fight with. I mean, I definitely would have had to jump off and start over again if I didn't have Tempered Sword, because I wouldn't have had enough magic to finish. You basically have to get Torch Glitch with Master Sword Silverless, I think, until you get like 4 magic refills. Like, I mean, I could have bought more potions too, but I don't know. It was a really like sort of just classic Inverted seed of the free variety. Like, everything's in the early game, and then you got to pick sort of one weird spot, which was the magic bat in this case.
Yes, speaking of magic bat, Tabby Cat was just there. He's in Go mode, And there were rage slashes aplenty.
That's what I like to hear.
Yeah, Tabby had just done the swamp dip without hookshot before checking Magic Bat, of course. So
Yeah, I really wish the hookshot was in swamp in this seed. It would have. I don't know. When I drained the dam for the first time and I had the hammer, I'm like, I'm just gonna go in. It's like I'm not losing. I lost time here obviously because I would have go mode in swamp, but I mean it's like I'm only losing the sort of like 10 seconds it takes to get back to the middle of the dungeon in that scenario, as long as you full clear it anyways, but obviously that didn't happen. But I don't regret that play.
yeah, again, those early flippers you're sort of suspicious of. So
Well, it's like the real downside to Swamp is like the accessing the dungeon. That's what takes long. Like getting to the items within Swamp Palace is not the problem. And the way I look at it is, if I don't check this now, I have a fixed cost of coming back here to drain the dam, no matter if I full clear it or if I go in for the secondary items. And if there is an item in the front, which was unlikely and it was actually terrible with 4 items in the pack, then it's going to be really bad for me. And so it tends to happen more in inverted, but like I said, if I drain the dam for the first time to check the flooded item, and I'm like right outside Swamp Palace and I don't have the hook shot, I just tend to go in that scenario. And obviously it cost me in this one. It was even the true bait too, with the like vanilla big key or big key in the west chest, one of the two. So you had to go back and check the big chest for as well, and to get the map in the big chest too. That was fun.
all right. So yes, any other thoughts from you three about this seed?
I wish it had been a troll seed.
Same.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. Inverted can be a big enough troll in its own right.
Yeah, I mean, my thought is I didn't check the map early because I don't really, I didn't really care what the crystals and pendants were when I was trying to find the light world. But then when I checked the map and I saw that Meyer and TR were pendants and that I only needed a hookshot for go mode, I want to say I probably would have played riskier if I'd have known that they were the pendants, that I wasn't going to need all these items that I was still looking for. So that was a mistake on my part. But I mean, I already knew that Skullwoods, Thieves Town, and Pod were all crystals because I dipped them. So, and Swamp for that matter. So like, I knew 4 of the 5. And I guess I probably wasn't just thinking enough about the items that could have been skipped. That's my regret. But GG's to everyone, and thanks for putting it on. I mean, we all like inverted, and it's nice to see it played. So
Yeah, it was fun to be a part of it, even with some technical issues on my side. Well, got through them.
Yeah, and this is a good moment to suggest to all of our viewers out there to follow these runners. Putting on a great show. As you saw, some great execution from all 4 of these runners today. So be sure to give them a follow, and also give my co-commentator Leslie Pro 04 a follow. And one more shout out to our trackers for today, the Third X and Red Aremer. Be sure to follow them as well.
There's all the names in chat as Tabby Cat's about to approach Ganon's Tower, which is in Hyrule Castle.
GG's then. I'm gonna be out. Good luck to Tabby Cats, and have a nice evening or day or whatever it is for you.
close enough, Illis. GG's. And I'm going to step away as well. I got to do some painting around the house. And yeah, thanks, Leslie. Thanks, Cool Papa and Red and everyone else for putting us on.
Thanks, it was our pleasure and a lot of fun. Like, I definitely love commentating these because you never know what crazy stuff you're gonna see happen. Like, that Landmo kill is one I'm gonna remember for a while because, wow. That's all I can really say about that because that was insane.
Well, thanks. I'd like to say I meant to do it, but it was totally luck.
Hey, sometimes luck, that's how it happens. Luck just follows your way and you run with it.
Yeah, I'd like item luck, not enemy RNG, but one step at a time, I guess. Anyways, thanks a lot, guys. Take care.
Hey, GG's. And with that, Abby Cat is in the tower.
And looks like they're going to be 1 or 2 on their personal GT Big Key guessing game. Number 1 for them. When you're in a race like this and you see people finishing in the 110s, 120s, you have to think the GT Big Key is going to be a little bit friendly.
Getting the mimics into place and shooting them dead. The Beamos are not being nice.
I have never quite understood why Mirror Shield doesn't block the BMOS shots. I'm glad they fixed that one for Ocarina of Time.
And many other later games in the series, I might add. Like Skyward Sword, if you don't even need a mirror shield, you just need one not made of metal and you can just shield bash it right back at them. It's genius. So to not be able to do anything about that in A Link to the Past, I gotta call Nintendo out on this one. It's an oversight. Two rooms left in Gauntlet. Now one.
Gonna switch to powder real quick to top up after that gauntlet. Pretty nice 2-cycle with that butter sword.
Absolutely. That, anytime you 2-cycle this fight with that shooter in the corner, that's pretty darn good.
Tabby also doesn't have that half magic, but with the lamp, that cuts down on your magic usage significantly, and also, of course, then you can spam it to get the torch glitch much more easily than with the fire rod.
Bit of a mishap there. The positioning of throwing that bomb is a lot trickier than one would think. Get it too close, and your bomb's going to wind up sticking to the wall too far away, and the explosion will pass and not do anything really specific. You really have to be on the right tile to make it work.
The one that drives me crazy is throwing the bomb across to the refill room in the Ganonball Z room. How often it just bounces off the wall and then misses blowing the hole in it.
No, it's funny you should mention that as Tabby Cat comes up with the mirror shield. Is that I've actually noticed that happen in Turtle Rock getting out to the big chest. Where I've noticed that happen recently.
Yeah, I think it's something to do with throwing the bomb downward, because I've also done it in cross keys when you're going through Hookshot Cave backwards. That sometimes happens.
That could be a thing. I think Tabby Cat just needs one more hit, and there it is. And some rage bonks right through Aghanim's corpse.
And Tabby dropping into the Ganon fight, breaking out that butter sword to get through these first two phases real fast. Gonna rely on the cape strats to get around those fireballs. And looks like they were grabbing the wall there to conserve some magic.
Now the lamp's gonna make magic management much easier for getting this torch glitch.
Yeah, and we saw at least one blue pot in Tabby's inventory, so...
That was close. Thought Ganon was gonna teleport right on top of them. And it's interesting that we're looking at a spray from Ori in the Blind Forest, as that's gonna be featured as part of an upcoming show on, well, from our friends over on the GDQ channel when they air the show. I believe it's called Random Number Generation, if memory serves me. But that's for another time, as I got other stuff to plug coming up for speed gaming later today, and there is a lot. We'll get to that as soon as we get a chance.
And there's that 12 spin. Tabby Cat finishing off the Ganon fight. We'll get under 2 hours on this seed, which is still a pretty good time for inverted. So, GG's to Tabby Cat.
It is. And that's the ball game. As with that, Tabby Cat is finished with a 158.56. also a PB. So there were a lot of them today. So according to my count, there were a total of 8 race PBs on this mode today. Hats off, congratulations to everyone who PB'd on this particular seed. And with that, we are joined by TabbyCat54. GG.
Thanks. That seed. It's my first inverted in about 8 months.
I honestly don't think I've touched inverted since the 2018 tournament, so I can relate.
Yeah. Yeah, I was nervous a little bit, and then I was like joking about going on restream, and then yeah, got that. And I'm muting myself, sorry.
Yeah, this was definitely an interesting one early on. We saw every single runner on restream take that early death to blind. Just that 3-heart hammer fight is awful.
Yeah. I'm already not confident enough with that to begin with hammer blind. I can do like 7 or 8 usually. I'm usually really good with Kane, but then Kane decided to Kane block me. So I was like, oh, you know what? No, I'm going to go out and I'll come back when I have something else.
Yeah, I think that was definitely the right decision. That was pretty much what everybody did, was they took one shot at it and then just noped out since you had Light World access at that point.
Yeah. I mismarked Desert Palace. I thought it was a crystal. And that's why I took a map check after I saw the pendant and was like, what did I just do?
Yeah, that's always unlucky. And then, of course, that hook shot was just in such a weird, random one-off location that
yeah,
sort of turned into an ice rod hunt, but for the hook shot.
I found the ice rod.
Yeah, unfortunately, that wasn't required today, because as far as we know, Trinex didn't have anything of value.
Yeah, because I was so dead set that I, like, for whatever the reason, thought Desert Palace was a crystal. I was like, oh, that means Trinex definitely has something. The hook shot's going to be on green pendant. I'm going to go there right next and see the pendant. And I'm like, wait, that, what? So yeah, that threw me off. And so did my stupid death to green guards. But yeah. It wasn't a bad seed though. Since it was my first one in a long time, I was like, was okay with that. I made a joke about I'm gonna make sub 3 because my last inverted in SRL is at 230, I think. So
whatever the previous race PB was.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were afraid you were going to get baited into going and killing Trinex when you found that ice rod, but luckily you avoided that one.
Yeah. It's like, no. I was hoping that hookshot was going to be in swamp, and then when it wasn't, I was going, okay, where's my one-off locations that is really easy to get to real fast? And I was like, okay, we'll go powder, and then I'll go mushroom, and then I'll go back to catfish because I totally forgot that warping from light world to dark world was a thing at that point. And so yeah.
Yeah, it's always weird to get back into inverted too, because there's so many of those little things like mirroring the wrong way that just, if you're not used to them, you have to stop and think about them in the middle of the seed, which is always difficult to do.
Yeah. But I liked it. It was a fun seed. It was definitely a much nicer seed than my last inverted plural that I'd done in the past. So
yeah, I was a little low on health at the beginning, but the seed didn't actually make you do anything too bad. If that glove had been on blind, this would have been a whole lot worse as a seed.
Oh, God. It definitely would have been.
yeah, I just realized that my follow thing is still on too, because I was not expecting to be restreamed until the last second. So it didn't turn anything off. So my apologies. It's off now.
That's all right. So yeah, any final thoughts about the seed there?
Nah, it was a fun one. It was a fun one to get back into, really. So.
All right. Well, great. Thank you so much for volunteering to be restreamed today, and we had fun watching you race. And GG's again.
Hey, GG's.
Yep, GG's.
Later.
Yep. Have a good day.
And now let's have a look at that speed gaming schedule, because you've got a number of different things going on all across the speed gaming networks today. This is well, you could say March Madness has begun, at least on speed gaming, as going on right now. But we've got a link to the past rando league action already in full swing with matches all afternoon into the evening, as well as currently going is a match on Speed Gaming, as well as in progress on Speed Gaming 2, Mario Kart Losers Round 3. Also featured on the schedule includes more Mario Kart, Untitled Goose Game, Diablo, and Combo Randomizer, along with a nightly race at 9 o'clock.
Yeah, absolutely. The league kicked off yesterday. Season 2 of the league kicked off yesterday with a showcase race. There are going to be tons of those races on Speed Gaming networks over the next 7 weeks during the regular season of the league. So if you are an ALTTPR fan, keep your eyes on the Speed Gaming networks, because there are just going to be more rando than you could possibly watch, which is the way I like it.
Oh yeah, because there's no shortage of rando action today, that's for sure.
And yeah, for those of you who have not been watching, the ALTTPR League does different modes from week to week. So this week is going to be all open modes. But then like next week is Ambrosia, which is a standard mode where bosses always have items. And then in the later weeks, things get real crazy with mystery seeds and cross keys and co-op spoiler logs, all sorts of madness in the league. So some really fun stuff there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Fun to watch, fun to be a part of, fun to commentate. Fun all around.
All right, so I think that will pretty much wrap it up for us today. Once again, thank you all for watching. Please keep your eyes on Speed Gaming. Give us a follow if you enjoyed what you saw today for lots more Speed Gaming action. I am Cool Papa Bell 2282. Leslie, you want to finish us out?
Sounds good to me. Well, I don't have that much to say, because I honestly think we covered it all. Inverted is its own beast, and let's just say it takes everything you know about this game and turns it on its head. We definitely saw that today and then some. So, with that being said, everybody, have a good morning, good afternoon, good night, whatever it is in your part of the world. Watch out for Lionels, and we'll see you next time.